Now on the broadcast, we are being joined by Yusuf Jalali, journalist from Tehran. Well, Yusuf, you just heard the president who delivered his national address. Well, what do you, what sense do you get from his address as he just spoke?
Well, of course, from the words of Donald Trump, we can understand that he is trying to find a quick off-ramp out of this war. He talked about the fact that the war is going to end very soon. He tried to assure the American nation that the oil prices are going to subside in a very quick period. And of course, he keeps extending this timeline for this conflict. Initially, if you remember, he talked about days. On the opening days of the conflict, he talked about the conflict taking days, then a couple of weeks. Now it is over a month long, and he keeps talking about a few weeks and then a few more weeks for this conflict to wind down. So Trump tries to find a quick way out of this conflict. And of course, he has changed the primary goals of this conflict. He has been talking about not pursuing a regime change, unlike what he used to say during the initial days of the conflict. And even before the conflict, he did talk about regime change being one of the goals of this conflict. But now he keeps speaking about the fact that Trump and the United States does not want regime change, but of course they want to remove Iran's capability to develop nuclear weapons. And this is something that Iran has time and again said, that Iran has said that if the United States wants to launch any kind of strike against Iran, if the United States wants to launch and wage a war against Iran, then Iran would make it a quagmire for the United States and would engage the entire region in any kind of war against Iran. We heard it coming from different Iranian officials saying that the United States attack on Iran would mean that the GCC region would be gripped. The global oil prices would be affected. And this is something that we see Trump seems to be surprised by the fact that Iran targeted the GCC countries and Iran just put a chokehold on the flow of the energy from the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. So, but Iran, this is something that Iran has time and again said, that if the United States wants to wage any kind of aggression against the country, then the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz would be under tight control by Iranian IRGC Navy. And this is what we see happening right now. The leverage of the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz for Iran is becoming key and strategic. And Trump seems to be very much concerned about this, the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, and has been trying to pass the bucket and has to just pass on this responsibility to the European allies of the United States. He keeps talking about the fact that the United States does not want Iran's oil. It does not want anything from Iran. And it is the responsibility of the Europeans dependent on oil to go ahead and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. So all in all, Donald Trump seems to be trying to find a quick way out of this conflict. And it seems that the Iranians' warnings have been fulfilled right now. It seems that the Trump administration is not being able to achieve its primary goals of regime change and, of course, to inflict the damages upon Iran's ballistic missile capability and its drone capability, because we see Iranians speaking about their arsenal, for example, the missile arsenal being still over there. The capability is over there. We heard Arakchi talking to Al Jazeera recently. He said that Iran's missile capability is out there and they can launch further missiles towards the GCC nations, the American assets in the region, towards Israeli territories. And of course, Iran's drone capability, Iran's ability to launch and fire those low-cost drones towards different targets in the region is still there and has not been degraded as put and claimed by the Trump administration. So Iran continues to control the Strait of Hormuz. Iran continues to launch those missiles and drones towards different targets across the Middle East and towards the Israeli territories. And this is what has made Trump concerned. So all in all, we see that Trump is trying to find a quick off-ramp out of this trouble. And as put by some experts and observers, he doesn't seem to be having a plan B to try to find a quick way out of this trouble. And as put by the Islamic Republic, they have been in control, and they will not only control the Strait of Hormuz now as a military leverage, but of course, they will continue to impose those tolls and transit fees on the passing vessels from this strategic strait, which controls more than 20% of the world's oil supply. The Iranian parliament has recently passed and approved a bill to be discussed inside the parliament. The parliament's National Security Commission has approved this bill to impose those fees upon the vessels coming from or headed towards the adversaries of Iran. And this is very much significant because Iran believes that the Strait of Hormuz is going to be something like a windfall opportunity for the Islamic Republic now as a result of this conflict. So the Iranians are saying that basically this Strait of Hormuz acts as a blessing in disguise, and this war is a blessing in disguise for Iran because it taught them very strategic lessons on controlling the Strait of Hormuz as a leverage, not just for wartime scenarios, but also during peacetime, because it can act as a counterforce to the American sanctions, to even the European sanctions, and any kind of economic pressure that would be regarded by the West and the United States in particular against the Islamic Republic.